Hello, beautiful ones. Welcome or welcome back. Thought we'd open with the squirrel energy here. Shukuyanama. Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. Oh, they're so tame. So, coming to you from this beautiful space, which is actually the park that I used to play in as a child, and it's such a glorious day. The weather is absolutely divine for this time of year. I feel really blessed, and there's a message coming through today around our will. Oh wow. Hello, sweetie. Hello, sweetie pie. Shukuyama. Hello. You're so cute, aren't you? You're so cute. I wish you'd let me stroke you. Oh wow, I don't think it's ever come quite as close before. Oh, you're blessing us with your presence. Oh, Mushkiana Mukui. Oh, he's so cute. I love squirrels. They're just so energy. And we get loads of them in this park. They're so tame. I normally bring some monkey nuts for them and put them over there, and they literally just all come up. They're so cute. Anyway, back to the message. That is right there again. I can't believe how close he is. So there's a message coming through around our will, divine will, and how important that the human will is. You know, it's an energy that they try to break in us a lot of the time. And my will, I'm sure you'd or her, my will was really strong as a child, right? And I've been doing a lot of inner child work recently. I'm just really embracing the energy of my inner child, right? And really just tapping into her. You know, I was a very willful child, and how many of us can resonate? We may have either resonate with that within ourselves or have a child with a very strong will, and that, yeah, it can be kind of hard work as a parent, right? Because it can feel like, they talk about a battle of wills, but really the strength of our will is an absolutely divine force. And when we come to create our reality by design, it's actually the will that we really need to harness, because the will is the magician energy. It's the first card of the tarot. It's the magician is the pure masculine essence of the divine, and our will is 100% the director. It's the will, the power of our will is what initiates the process of creation, right? And it's actually the magnetic force in the body as well. So there's the presence, this message today. What are we using our will for? Like really tapping into the will in a new way, looking at it afresh, looking at it again, really understanding. I believe this squirrel is just poking its head around the tree bark. I've got to show you, it's just wild. You're hiding now, aren't you? You're playing hard to get. It's going to pop its head round as soon as I've taken the camera back. So when we come to design, create our life, okay, consciously as conscious beings in this world, in this reality, aligning our will with the divine desire, our true desires, the depth of our desires. And I've been talking to women a lot about this recently, and of really owning our true desires, right? And one of the runes that I pulled yesterday, I think, was fire, unconscious desires, right? So really tapping into, making conscious what our true deepest desires are, allows us to align our will in that direction. And it's interesting because if we don't make the desires fully conscious and own them, what we can actually do is end up using the power of our will to deny them, because they're not conscious, we're not owning them, but they're there anyway, they're vibrating anyway at a very strong frequency within us. So if we don't make that conscious and fully own it, then what happens is we end up, the direction of our willpower ends up working against us, because we're denying those desires rather than really harnessing that and directing that will in alignment with what we truly desire, which is then that magnetic force that really brings that in for us. So that was a message coming through this morning, and I pulled you a card just before I sat down, and it's so beautiful, and I'm gonna pop you down here because I'm going to share that card with you, which is from the Dark Goddess Oracle deck, and it's Sedna. Very powerful energy for the feminine collective, very, very deep, and then I'm gonna to kind of close that reading from Sedna, that message from Sedna. I'm going to pull a Power of Surrender card. I think I'm going to pop you down so you can look at the tree and breathe in some nature while we receive the message here from Sedna. So I first came across Sedna on my journey with astrology, because she's actually, like, I don't know whether they class her as an asteroid or a comet or a planet. I'm really not sure. I'm not an expert on astrology. I'm just a very keen learner. And I love the power of the archetypes, right, and the stories behind. And this is so relevant, not only for women and for the feminine collective and the feminine reclamation, but also for me personally on my journey, because this year I am going through my Chiron return and I'm actually healing. It was self-abandonment, right, that came up. And then today, I haven't even had this deck on me. I cleared out my caravan, my partner and I cleared out my caravan at the beginning of the year, and I did not have room to take everything back up north, and I actually left 2 boxes of things in my mum and dad's shed. And I got in there the other day and the Dark Goddess card was there amongst my crystal runes and my Avalon deck and a few other things. Nara, confirmation from the crows there. And I got that out. I thought, oh great, I'd forgotten about this deck, and I have never actually pulled this card from this deck before. I want to talk to you about Sedna, and I'm going to read the guidance to deepen into this, but I'm just going to open with my initial understanding as Sedna first came to me. Like, the power of her story really got me when I first came across Sedna, because she's a very powerful archetype. And however they label or describe her as an archetype or a planetary body, and I'm sure if anyone knows the exact description, you can drop it in the comments. But however they actually describe Sedna's presence, she's a very, very deep and far off presence. So in other words, she's like what you could call an outer planet. She's not something that's cycling through our awareness in a very quick cycle. So very, very deep presence and very deeply buried in the subconscious. This archetype does not surface very often in terms of its presence in the cycles in the sky with the planetary bodies. So she's a bit like an outer planet, if that makes sense, and she's been very present this year. Okay, in this huge transformational year of 2025, Sedna's been very, very present and interacting with the other planets, okay, with the other planetary bodies. Now, she was betrayed by her father. And the story is, I'll read you it in a moment in more depth, but this is how I first encountered her. She was betrayed by her father and abandoned by him, literally tried to kill her, and she fell into the sea. And actually, although it's a story of betrayal and loss and the very deep feelings that go with that in the feminine, buried in the feminine psyche, actually the moral of the story, if you like, is one of transformation, because what she did was she became the goddess of the sea. She became the whales and the cosmic ocean and the sea creatures. So she transformed in her pain. And it really, really stuck with me on my own journey of embodiment, this very deep feminine wounding, core feminine wounding coming up out of the depths, right, into and through our own personal experiences in this individual, reclamation that's going on at this time, and the collective feminine consciousness, the integration of the feminine psyche. Sedna is an incredibly powerful message there. So this is a journey for all of us women, right? We have these core wounds, this core wounding. Even if we don't necessarily identify with abandonment in this lifetime, within the feminine psyche there's this very core wounding of abandonment. And it often reflects through how we feel about ourselves, and this patterning that a lot of women have, this innate programming where we are programmed, conditioned to serve others before ourselves. And it's this kind of patterning within the feminine where there's a self-abandonment. And it's found within myself. I found it at the very core level of how I thought about everything, how my very nervous system functioned when other people were around. Okay, so if you look within, it can be found in the very deep psyche and in our nervous system. It's very, very interesting. And with my Chiron return this year, I've been healing this self-abandonment. And Spirit, working together with the spider medicine, which came into me in June through a spider bite and literally physically stopped me from going back to Avalon and to Glastonbury, and forced me to stay in my own space, and gave me a very clear message: stay here in your own autonomy, your own psychic energy, and put yourself first. And because my mind I would have gone back. That was my plan, and it was like, no. Spirit very clearly through this medicine of the spider, it was like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're going to sit here and you're going to look at this very deeply. And it was all the weaving of this very deep core wounding. And I don't know exactly where Sedna is at this time, but I know we had a Chiron aspect yesterday. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer, right? It's a very, very deep healing. And we're all going to face this in our lives. I think, to me, it aligns because the planetary, it comes back into alignment 50 years. It's a 50-year transit. So everybody goes through their Chiron return around the age of 50, right? And it represents the healing of a lifetime, because it's the healing of the wounded healer, the wounded empath, and how the feminine has always abandoned themselves and given themselves away, where the feminine has given their power away, the areas in our unique individual life. And this happens around this time. And if you think about the kind of attitude in the third dimensional consciousness, it's around this kind of midlife. They call it a midlife crisis, but it's essentially what it's referring to is this return of Chiron, where we all get the opportunity to look very deeply within at where we've given our power away in our life. So I'm going to read you from the guidebook about Sedna, Abandonment, and it opens with just this kind of short piece here. Frozen, plunged into despair, abandoned, left without a care. Release yourself from holding tight. Dive deep within, rescues in sight. By the power of Dark Goddess in me, protection in place. Blessed be. And can we just say as well, as we use any oracle, we devote all of the lessons learned to the greatest good of all. So the Dark Goddess's guidance, the guidance of Sedna, the messages that she can potentially bring, and the beautiful healing. So often you feel left out in the cold. Being cast out has left you feeling unsupported and abandoned. You feel rejection, betrayal and fear as the Inuit goddess Sedna once did, and tend to be clingy and needy, hoping desperately not to be rejected. You are in danger of letting your emotions ruin the good things in your life. The more you crave attention for security, the more you will drive others away. However, Sedna evolved through the process of sacrifice and suffering, and has risen through the freezing waters to remind you that it's how you learn and grow from your experience that matters. You are called to move through emotional depths of resistance, to navigate into the sea of deeper awareness and honor your sensitivity. Allow Sedna's natural connection with the sea to facilitate your emotional clarity and help you to understand on a deeper level the actions you have caused that have caused the unrest in your life. So the Dark Goddess foresight here, you are holding on way too tight. Now this is really interesting for me personally, because when I first started my healing journey, Spirit told me in exactly the words alleviate. Like, one of my purposes was on this planet was to, or for myself maybe, was to alleviate fear. I was like, okay. And then I remember doing a meditation, and when I first identified the frequency, because I didn't really identify with being in fear. I was a little bit feisty, very independent, super independent. Didn't really identify with being afraid of anything. Okay, and I was just starting to understand that we live in an energetic reality, and that a lot of energy in the body is unconscious, right? But that's where we're functioning from. But I didn't always understand that. And then I started to understand that, and when I first tapped into the fact that I was vibrationally living in fear, it was shown to me like I was literally clinging on for dear life. Like, it was almost like I was petrified, and that brings me back to that first line, frozen, plunged into despair. And I identified this part of me that was literally clinging on for dear life. I didn't really understand it. I was like, well, what the hell are you clinging on to, you know? But that's how it was shown to me. It was like literally clinging on. And it's interesting because now I get to this point and this healing. My hands, I get pain in my hands. I've got pain in my wrists and my thumbs. And as I've been healing and doing some masculine work, and with my family this week, I've started to get like, it's like carpal tunnel in my right hand, right? Now, when you look up the meaning of hand pain, it's clinging on, it's holding on tight, right? Now, don't forget the physical body, the ailments and pain or anything in our physical body is the last piece. The physicality is the last piece. Everything's energy first. So we can do all the healing work and the energy, but we still have these physical ailments, these physical things that will come up and surface, and they're the last bits to go. So I've been noticing this, and then this comes up, right? And it brought me back to that initial, at the very beginning of my journey, this clinging on to fear. So, the foresight, you're holding on way too tight. Let go of those who have hurt you. It's time to build up trust in yourself and others. The love you seek starts from within. It's time to become thick-skinned. Your fears are rooted in the past. A new spiritual family awaits. Now, Sedna revealed, just to finish from this description book here, because it's a beautiful story. I'd really highly encourage you to research Sedna and to, if it resonates with you, to connect with her, the archetype on a deeper level. Archetypal outcast of Inuit origin. Sedna was a beautiful maiden who was ostracized when it was believed she had been impregnated by a wild animal. Her father took her out on the water to throw her overboard, but she clung to the side of the kayak so tight that he cut off her fingers. They became sea creatures and she was immortalized as the goddess of the sea. It's such a powerful story. When I first connected with her, I found it was quite a little bit different to the way that it's described here. It was basically that she had gone to live on a different island, got married to a man, left home and gone to live on a different island, but the man abused her and treated her badly, and her father didn't really want her back. But he went to collect her anyway, took her off in the boat, and then decided halfway across, I can't be bothered with you, I'm just going to get rid of you. So he chucked her over the side for that reason. But either way, she was betrayed by her own father, right? Betrayed by the masculine. It kind of represents the initial core betrayal and abandonment of the feminine by the masculine, however the story kind of pans out there, right? So it's a very, very deep message from Sedna, and a real call to look at, and ultimately now, where are we abandoning ourselves? Where are we still perpetuating the patriarchal abandonment and abandoning ourselves? Because it has to stop, right? So I'm just going to get you to close out this message today. I'm going to get you a Power of Surrender card. And Great Spirit, thank you so much for this beautiful space. Thank you for all the divine alignments and synchronicities that weave through our experience. Thank you for these beautiful messages, for the animals, for our beautiful animal guides that surround us with their medicine and their joy and purity. We're so grateful. Now, we ask today, as we look at these deep core wounds within, and we look with new eyes, and we're not going to abandon ourselves anymore, right? So what's the message? Show us here what we need to surrender within. What do we need to surrender to allow us ease with this journey? What do we need to surrender on this journey of healing abandonment in the feminine psyche? Thank you. Interesting. Surrender your attachment to results. The formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen and then let go of the results. Wow, holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it. Wow. Surrender your attachments to results. So another message here. Holding on too tightly. Wow. Sabotages us, right? When we hold on too tightly, we're holding on through fear. Wow, what a beautiful message. We don't need to hold on anymore. We don't need to hold on to fear. We don't need to hold on to our wounds, to control. So a real confirmation from Spirit there, sisters. Holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it, right? Surrender attachment to results. That's a beautiful confirmation there. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me on this channel and for allowing me to share. I'm just so grateful. You know, and please do, if it resonates, hang around, subscribe, like. It helps me to grow this channel and to use my voice, you know, to reach more sisters, more brothers and sisters, as we all share our space together, right, for this collective healing and expansion. Grateful. Thank you so much. Until next time.